Hi, just going to record you a quick video of how my tutorial works. So we just go add this new text object to our scene, and that's all the letters A to Z plus in upper and lowercase, plus there's also an exclamation mark. So the first thing we'll do is we'll get this lot below 0. In fact, the first thing we'll do is we'll make sure all the pivot points are at 0 as well. 0, 0, 0. That's cool. Okay. And then let's move them all down. So they're below 0 now. We can move them down further. Doesn't matter. We're going to add in another object. In fact, while we're here, let's just make a selection set for these objects. They're all selected at the moment, so we'll just call them letters. And then we will add in our ground object. It's a ground plane, but it's actually a big thick rectangle because we need it to be thick for bullets later on when we do that. So now let's add in a flock. So we're flocking, add in a generator, and that's a standard box shape, and let's take our grid down a bit. So there's our box, and we will have 8 members of our flock in each direction, and they'll come flying out. Let's make the colour a bit more interesting, and we'll raise up this box as well. Let's select this and move it down. So it's actually at 0, just to be sure. And we'll check our letters. Oh, where's our set of letters? Oh. Green set. Down as well. Okay, so here we are, we've got our box and we've got show ranges on, so let's do add new and we'll add a goal. And for right now we're just going to make our goal a simple target over here, and if we do calculate all motions, which you have to do every time you've made a change in blocking. Now we can see if we play our scene that our flock heads straight towards the goal, which is fine, that's what we want. Our scene's not long enough, so let's put it up to 300 to give it a bit more interest, and let's move our goal further away. Now what I've done, is made a new keyframe where I didn't need one. So let's move our goal along, and we'll do calculate motions again. Doesn't take a moment. Press play, and yeah, whatever do. And it's this motion that's going to be our fight. Okay, so what we actually want is our goal to be nearer so that they can spend more time fighting. And I think I'm going to add in a new avoid director, and it needs to have some range to it, so let's give it 30. Oh no, that's probably a bit much. 20, and we'll put that in the path of our flock. motions. Edit play. Oh, maybe 30 was good. Maybe 30 is too big. Maybe 20 was too big as well. So a lot of playing around with flocking just to try and get things exactly as you want them. Let's also move this right in the way of getting to the goal. Ah, that's a bit more interesting. Let's have a look. No, now it really wants to be bigger. Ah, yeah, and that's it. That's our motion. Okay, and obviously you can put in more avoid directors or deflector directors, not a problem. Make this path as interesting as you'd like it to be, but remember that the important thing is that they all have a punch up at the end of the where they've reached the goal, and that's what we have to concentrate on for our camera. So let's position our camera. We'll move in, move up a bit. Want to be near our goal. That's good. That's a good bundle. So let's save our scene. We'll just call it okay, so that's the starting part done. Now what we need to do is convert those letters we loaded into our flock shapes. And the way we do that is we select our flock, we hit P for object properties, and we'll add instancer. And we're going to add instance generator, and we could add all our objects one by one, but what's much easier is that we'll add all of them in one go, and I'll show you how. Click on there, choose our selection set's gone again. Choose our amount, so we've now got all 53 objects selected. We go add from layout, and they're all there, which is jolly good. The only thing that we don't want is that we don't want them to be W's, we want them to be L's, that's local. So we have to go through every single one and choose local. So that's not very interesting, so I'm just going to pause for a moment and we'll come back when it's done. Okay, so no time has taken for you at all, but it took me ages to switch all these to L's, and at the same time I've also switched all the bounding boxes that instances are by default represented as into actual shapes of letters, etc. Just because it's more interesting that way. Now we don't really need the range circles on the flock, so, because all we need to do is see the images, the letters now. So what we can do is we can click off show ranges, and we'll just do a calculate motions. It doesn't take any time, and at least that way we can be sure that we're getting the motion we want. So let's have a look in our camera view and see what we're getting. not bad. I think the camera needs to be a little bit more to the left. So and perhaps a little bit lower. Okay, that's good for this run through. I think the goal wants to be up higher as well, otherwise they go into the ground too much. So let's make the avoid be higher too. And yeah, we've moved our flocking thing, so we need to do calculate all motions once more. And let's have a look now. Okay, that's pretty good. That's a bundle. What we need to do now, let's save the scene. What we need to do now is make sure that the fact that they're all interpenetrating doesn't really show up. So we need to make some hypervoxel clouds to emerge, so that then we can drop our final letters down and get rid of these ones. Okay, so to do this, what we need is a null, and we'll call it cloud for the time being, and it's bang in at 0, 0, 0 for the time being, obviously. So what we want to do is move it to in front of the goal, or in front of the camera, between the camera and the goal. So where's my camera? Anybody see it? It's great having a big screen, but terrible if you can't see what you're doing. Very handily, my camera is grey. Oh wow, off the edge of the... Didn't realise that's that far away. So let's move my null there and raise it up somewhat. I want to be sure that it actually looks like my hypervoxels are being caused by the cloud of rampaging letters. So it needs to still be further forward, because I suppose the hypervoxels could come out of the centre of those rampaging letters. Let's give it a go. So we'll do P properties, and we'll FX, and we need to have an emitter that comes out. And what do we want? We want some particles to come out, but when should they start? I think they should start about then, when the bundle starts happening. Perhaps now. So 72. Let's bring my graph editor over. So at 72, I want there to be a keyframe, and then if we scroll onwards, I think I'll have another keyframe about the... Okay, so let's take all our keyframes down to 0. And we'll fit all. And then for this one in particular, I want it to be... Oh no, I've got them selected. For this one in particular, I want it to be up at all of a sudden there's 100. Particles, and then here I kind of want it to tail off, so that's fine. Let's see what that gives me. Okay, that's good. We'll up that to 10,000. And what we'll do is we'll say, we'll leave that as it is. We'll give them a little bit of upwards velocity. And a bunch of explosion. And some Z as well, towards us. So, 2. They're not really coming out in the right Z direction, so I want them to come out -2, but I don't think it's going to be enough to actually cover them up. Let's say 300. See what that gives us. As you can see, there's a lot of just trial and error, and it's really going to vary. Your scene is going to be completely different to mine. So let's see. I think they need a slightly longer lifetime. Okay. And I think we're going to need to make them a bit bigger as well. Probably want an envelope to make them bigger. So where were we before? We were so rudely interrupted by the telephone. I've made an envelope for the size of my particles, and I also want to make a similar thing for the dissolve of my particles, so that I start them off at 0 dissolve, and by frame 170 odd, yeah, 164, I am almost completely dissolved. So let's just take that down to 95. I'll make it 100. And let's make that one -1 and that one +1. So then my particles will dissolve out as they get bigger, which is kind of what clouds do. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's see how that's going to work out for us. Oh, we need to actually say what kind of particles we want. By default they're in surface mode, so we'll try them on volume, but I warn you that volume mode hypervoxels are... Where are my presets? just for now, let's just use backlit cloud. Yes. I want to keep my current particle size, thank you. Oh, I see. Right, so I've lost my beautifully set up envelopes. So let's move that one down to 0, and at 170 we want it like that, and D, so that one wants to be -1 and this one wants to be +1. Okay, and dissolve, we want no dissolve, and then we want to add some 100% dissolve at about 170 again, and I want -1 there, and +1 there to get a more rapid dissolve going. Okay, let's have a look. Yep. Nothing yet, because I haven't started. However, now they should have done. And you can see how slow hypervoxels are. Yeah, it's not enough to the right, is it? No. But that's okay, because we can sort that out. We'll just get the cloud, and we'll move it somewhat to the right. Now, this is going to create me a keyframe at 93, but I can just reset it to 0 and delete this keyframe. And that way it's not animated throughout the scene. So that's fine and dandy. We can even have a look at it in VPR if we want. Okay, so right about here we can move our goal. So we don't want to move it at all. While we can still see some of our guys going, so let's just choose our director and we'll keyframe that position, and then by the time we get to here, let's move our director down somewhat. Okay, when I say somewhat, I didn't really mean 851mm. Let's have a look in this window to see where our director is. And let's turn off VPR. Okay, and remember, we've moved the director now, so what we have to do is calculate all motions again. And it's also possible that because I haven't altered how the graph editor is looking. Oh, that's quite nice. That's quite nice. Even though the director's moving upwards, it actually gives quite a nice look to it. So let's just check. Yeah, got one more coming out there. Another thing we needed to do was just let's put a simple backdrop on there so that it makes it a bit more interesting. And, you know, change our light so it's a bit more interesting too. Not much more interesting. But that's not the goal here. To make it more interesting again, we can double up the null and make a copy of the null and put more cloud spitting out, but we're not going to worry about that now. We're going to just press on with the next bit we need to do, which is the bullet parts. Now for this to work, what we have to have is copies of the B, the R, the A, W and L, plus I think my let's turn off PPR, plus my exclamation mark. So B, A, L, W, exclam. Let's create a set and hope it sticks this time. And we'll just copy them. One. So in fact what we need to do is, rather than those are the ones we need. So we call them bullet pool, because these are the letters that are going to be bullet objects. Okay, I don't know if you've played around with bullet yet in 11, but it's really worth your while. Give it a go. So let's first of all set our frame back to 0, move our letters up so they're visible. Still not visible. Hey, there they are. And we'll move them over towards our camera. Right. Now, obviously, we've got all 5 letters in exactly the same place. So what we have to do is take them one by one and put them where we want them. While we're doing that, what we'll also do, rather than doing it again and again, FX tools, rigid body. That's it, just click. We'll just go down on the keyboard. No movement. Yeah, go up on the keyboard and we'll take our letter A and we'll do rigid body. And we'll just move it. So, well, we'll leave it where it is, really. And we've got our letter L. Rigid body again, and we'll move that to the right. Somewhat. W, rigid body, move that to the right. R, oh, exclam, rather. Move that to the right. Rigid body, and R. Rigid body, let's have you to the left a bit. Oh no, that's not the object I wanted. I wanted R. I have ball. because I lifted up afterwards, it's not exactly at the same position as the other letters. But that's not actually such a bad thing, because what we want to have is them falling out of the sky. Let's take a top view of this and zoom in on the letters. And because I want to position them more carefully, I'm going to change my grid down a bit. Okay, all these letters are quite bunched up. Hang on just a second. Back again, back again. Okay, so there's our letter R. That's a bit more like it. And just to verify, now, we don't want to see these letters from the start of the animation. What we actually want to do is see them when the cloud is up in full flow. We also need to make sure that the ground is a static body, so it will stop the brawl letters from falling through it. So let's just play our scene. We can't do that yet because we need to lift these up a bit. Okay, 118 is roughly where I want to start. I'm still falling through, that's most odd. Let's change that to box. Ah, I see. So they're not falling through the ground, I just can't see the ground from my camera viewpoint. Well outside it. So let's just move them back a little. Okay. So at 118, we want them to start their motion. So let's lift them up. Oh, yeah. You might want to turn off dynamics while you're doing this. out of the sight of our camera. And let's go back into item properties and we'll choose activation, activate on last key. Any rotation, and we'll set that to 0 as well. And this time we're not going to delete the key that we've just made, because what we actually want to do is just keep them in place until it's time for them to form. Go back. That's a long way for them to form, so I think what we need to do is actually at this point we need to bring the camera in closer. So let's select it and we'll move it in to there. Which is fine. It also means that we can move our letters down. So they're still out of view. That our keyframe at 118. So now if I enable dynamics, much better, and the scene doesn't even need to be that long. Be 220. Don't really like the fact that the X-clam falls over that much. I don't think that works very well for the scene. Although I do like the way the other letters are spreading around. So let's just take the X-clam and we'll add some angular damping. Let's try that, see what that does. It still wants to fall over. Let's try reducing its bounce instead. In addition. Close. Leave it at 10. See what we get now. That looks pretty good. Even better. Okay. Let's save our scene again. show what the camera can see. We need more hyperfox, although when we selected that piece by mistake, I needed it not to have moved forward or backwards or whichever. Oh no, it's because it's a rigid body now, isn't it? And we don't want it falling. So let's see what we get now. Let's just try, just for the sake of speed. And that's good, but I'd really rather see the letters fall. I think that makes it more impactful. So let's have the dissolve on those hypervoxels faster. So T for move, or that button there, and you can move it up and down without a modifier, but if you want to move it in time, you need to use the control key at the same time. I think we could even go further back in time. No, we definitely want to have those covered up. That's good. We've seen that it has fallen through the clouds. And to make it more impressive, if you put the letters at different levels so they drop to the floor at different times, I think that's probably even better. Maybe have the B at the start of fall down first and then followed by the others. Let's disable dynamics for the moment. And disable VPR. need to do is make sure they're a little bit better separated.